What's up, guys? We are back with a full set of NBA action here on Wednesday, January 8th. We're going to break down every NBA game tonight and look at bets on the side and over-under, and make sure to check that pinned comment throughout the day to see if there are any changes as injury news and player availability continue to be confirmed there throughout the day. Yesterday, guys, did not go amazing. Also, not a disaster. Once again, looking like we're going to go 2-2. There is a chance the Warriors can make some sort of comeback here and make that Golden State minus 8.5 play come true, but it's not looking like it's in great shape now headed into the third quarter. The Lakers minus 5.5. They just came out and didn't want to play basketball tonight, or at least didn't want to play defense. Dallas shot them out of the gym. So yeah, pretty disappointing stuff there from the Lakers. The Rockets, though, they came through for us. Minus 9.5. That was good as gold. Houston, no problem there. And the Hornets, guys, the Hornets plus 3, they come through winning that game straight up against the Suns. It wasn't a fun one to bet. I didn't want to bet it, but all the trends, all the numbers, all my intellect told me we needed to be on that game, and I'm glad we were because it came through a very solid win there. And we've got LaMelo Ball doing crazy stuff, throwing himself passes off the backboard. So very cool stuff there. Unfortunately to go, probably only 2-2 on the night, but not the end of the world, guys. If you want to win all of your bets here today on Wednesday, hit that like button. It's good luck and show support for the channel and all the hard work we're putting in every single day. Also, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on our daily content. This is our kind of only channel we have going right now, so definitely want to hit that subscribe button. Make sure you're subscribed. You might have been subscribed to the main channel that used to exist and will hopefully exist again, but right now you need to make sure you're subscribed to this channel. Also, comment below with any bets you're looking at today, and we will give you our best advice on all of them. We are committed to responding to every single comment every day, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day, guys. We've got the Oklahoma City Thunder going on the road to take on the Cleveland Cavaliers in one of the biggest and most highly anticipated games, at least by me, here in the, I'm not saying early goings in the NBA, but, we're still fairly early on in the grand scheme of things. The Thunder come into this game fresh off a huge win, guys. They took down the Celtics their last time out, a 105-92 win there, kind of cementing themselves as, one of the top teams there in the NBA. Yeah, a very good day out there. They're also on a 15-game winning streak, which is pretty crazy stuff. SGA just looks like a different kind of animal out there, guys. 33 points for him, 3 of 6 from the three-point range, 11 of 23 from the field. He also had 11 boards and 6 assists. Just a very good overall game from him. We saw great stuff from basically all the starters out there. Almost everyone was in double figures. Hardenstein missed having a double-double there by only 2 points. Other than that, Aaron Wiggins played great off the bench. Generally speaking, the Thunder shot the ball well, 42% from three-point range. They did a good job on the boards as well, holding things basically even there with the Celtics. So a great game there from the Thunder. They're going to be very excited with how their team is looking right now. And they're not having Caruso playing right now or Chet Holmgren. This team's going to be actually scary. The only thing that really bothers me for them is if they come up against a team with somebody like an Embiid or a Jokic where they don't really have a good option to guard that kind of size. So we'll see what goes on with them down the stretch, but they come into this game with things looking pretty much the same. Everybody in the starting lineup is healthy. Caruso still out. Obviously, Chet Holmgren still out. So not the full-strength Thunder, but the full-strength Thunder compared to what, we've had for them over the last, I don't know, it's a pretty big sample size now where they haven't had Chet, but they have had Hardenstein back, and they haven't had Caruso. He's been kind of in and out. But we'll see what they look like here going on the road to take on the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are coming off of a 10-point win there against the Charlotte Hornets. They're on a 10-game winning streak of their own. They've been playing really well. Not a ton of super tough teams during that winning streak. I mean, they did beat the Nuggets, the Warriors, the Lakers, but the short-handed Mavs, like that doesn't really get me too jazzed up. But regardless, at 31-4 on the season, Cleveland has looked amazing this year. In that win over the Hornets, clearly the Cavaliers weren't super locked in for this game. Obviously, it was a big look-ahead spot. This was the Hornets also getting back Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball, which I would argue they're not that bad of a team when they have those two guys. But Cleveland played well as expected. Darius Garland, a big game. Jarrett Allen, 9 of 10 from the field for 19 points and 11 rebounds. He's a monster. We liked what we saw from George Niang coming off the bench. As a team, they only shot 35% from three-point range, a number they can definitely improve on, and they still scored 115 points in this game. So loving what we're seeing from the Cleveland Cavaliers this season. They're a deep team. They got tons of talent. They play defense, and they can really shoot the three. Coming into this game, they're not quite fully healthy. We do see Isaac Okoro there on the injury report. He's questionable for this game, dealing with that shoulder injury. He hasn't played since back on December 16th. He's apparently very close to being ready to get back out there, and you would think a big, prime time game like this that's going to be on ESPN would be big incentive for him to get back out there. So I would say there's actually a real chance he comes back for this game, but gonna have to stay up to date on that injury report. We don't know for sure whether he's gonna be out there or not. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, the Cavaliers are 2-point favorites here playing at home. We've got a total of 227.5. The Thunder 10-5-1 against spread on the road. They are 28-1 against spread after a win. Cleveland 13-6 against spread at home. They are 22-8 against the spread after a win this season. That's a pretty crazy number. Guys, with Cleveland only being 2-point favorites here and the fact they're playing at home, I'm taking the Cavaliers in this spot. I think they have the length and athleticism to really bother the Thunder. I do worry about Garland and Donovan Mitchell being slowed down by that good perimeter defense there that Oklahoma City can play. So this might be a very close game, but I'm willing to go that one possession there to Cleveland. Since they have home court advantage in this spot, I don't think the Thunder are going to be super stoked about being in Cleveland this time of year, but that hasn't mattered to them a lot. So this isn't the biggest of leans, but I am pretty convinced that Cleveland is a good enough team. They're really looking to make a statement here. They're getting to play a primetime game. Donovan Mitchell is a player who's really played amazingly well in high pressure situations throughout his career. So I'm going to be siding here with the Cleveland Cavaliers at -2. Next up, guys, we got the Chicago Bulls going on the road to take on the Indiana Pacers. The Bulls come into this game 17-19 on the season, but they've won 4 out of their last 5. Wins over the Spurs, Knicks, a loss to the Wizards, which is crazy, then wins over the Hornets and Bucks. So generally speaking, we've liked what we've seen from the Bulls lately. Big performances from Kobe White and Zach LaVine over the last couple of games, and especially there against San Antonio their last time out. LaVine had 35 points. I believe White had 23 points. Yeah, and just a very good shooting night from those two. The Bulls in general only shot 33% from 3, so not their best shooting night, but they're a team that gets up and down. They'll get those shots up. Josh Giddey's doing a good job running the offense. We're loving what we're seeing from Lonzo Ball coming off the bench. It makes your heart feel good to see him out there balling again and playing well and looking like he's relatively healthy. So that's all very good news. The Bulls injury report, really the only meaningful guy on there is Ayo Dosunmu. He is currently dealing with that calf issue. He's going to be out around 1 more week, to rehab and get back to, full-on sprinting. So he's not going to be back for this game as they go on the road to take on the Indiana Pacers, who are 19-18 on the year. They're winners of 4 out of their last 5, actually. And yeah, they're playing well. Not against the toughest opponents. I mean, wins over the Nets, Suns, Heat, and the Celtics. That was obviously a big win, but it was on the second half of a home-and-home, deal. Or no, actually, both those games were in Boston. So they played really well in that game. Don't get me wrong. I feel like Boston had at least one guy sitting out, though. I can't remember who it was. But regardless, pretty happy with what we're seeing from the Pacers. They're back over 500. Not something that was looking like a, certainty to be happening, but we'll see if they can continue this progression. Halliburton playing much, much better. 23 points in his last game. He had been struggling mightily, so him getting back on track and this Pacers team getting back on track really, really go hand in hand. So we'll see what they can do here in this matchup. Getting to play at home is nice, but Halliburton is on the injury report, guys. He is questionable with an ankle injury, so going to have to keep very, very updated on that. It's very annoying to have an injury, a questionable designation on a key player like this. Like, we can't really tell if he's going to play or not. But if we look at the the spread for this game, we can get some sort of an indication here. And the Pacers are 5-point favorites. To me, that reads like the books think Halliburton is much more likely to play than not. So we'll see if that actually happens. Gonna have to keep a close eye on that injury report. Something to definitely stay up to date on. But I am leaning towards the Bulls here, getting 5. You can even find some 5.5s out there if we do eventually see that Halliburton's going to sit this one out. Even if he doesn't sit this one out, guys, I don't think it's a terrible spot to take the Bulls. Both these teams like to get up and down the court. Getting 5 extra points feels kind of nice. The Bulls are 9-8-1 against spread on the road. They're only 6-9-1 against spread after a win. The Pacers 6-8-1 against the spread at home, and 7-11 against spread after a win. So this isn't a game that's going to be going in the pinned comment. If you love watching offense, this would be a great one for you to watch, though. I think we'll see plenty out there. We've got a total of 241.5. Like, the books are expecting a lot of points. Next up, we've got the Washington Wizards going on the road to take on the Philadelphia 76ers. The Wizards come into this game 6-28 on the season, so not having a great time. They're tanking it out very aggressively. They're fresh off a loss last night against the Rockets. They lost that game 135-112. Thank you, Rockets, for playing well, and thank you, Wizards, for playing terribly. We were on the Rockets in that game, and they came through for us. Not a lot of positives to report right now for the Wizards. I mean, Kispert had a nice day, so I guess that's a good thing. Nobody else played particularly well. Kuzma only played 17 minutes in this game, so we're going to be checking up on his injury report, and just not a very good performance there from the Wizards, who kind of have made that the norm for them this season. Looking at the injury report, we see Poole on there and Kuzma on there as well. They're pretty much constants on this injury report. Poole, dealing with that hip injury, did sit this game out against the Rockets, so we'll see. There's a chance he comes back for the second half of this back-to-back. Kuzma dealing with this calf issue, only played 17 minutes. I think there's a very good chance they sit him out. No reason to be pushing it with a calf issue, especially when you're a team that's actively trying to lose games. So I don't think we'll see Kuzma playing this. Brogdon is also on the injury report there. He's dealing with that foot injury. He didn't play against the Rockets either. I do think there's some sort of chance he plays in this next one, but it's far from a lock if you ask me. So we'll see what they can do here going up against the 76ers. And now it's time to play one of my least favorite games in the world. Is Embiid going to play basketball today? Well, their last time out, guys, the 76ers lost to the floundering Suns 109-99. Not a great look there. Maxey had 31 points. We did not see Embiid playing this game. Paul George continues to kind of flounder. I mean, 13 points isn't a terrible performance, but when you're getting paid like a max player, that's not a very good look. Yabusele actually played really well in the game. Oubre came back and he played well, but the bench is just a black hole of production out there. So not a lot of positives for the 76ers. They've got to be hoping that Embiid will play in this game, but it's not looking very likely, guys. He's, listed as out for this one. He will not play on Wednesday against the Wizards. So he's out. KJ Martin also, he's been dealing with a foot injury as well. Yeah, that stress reaction in his foot is going to keep him out for this game also. It seems like it's going to keep him out for this one at least. We'll have to see. I guess it's not 100% there, but it definitely seems likely. And yeah, so not the full strength 76ers. They're still 10.5 point favorites here. We've got a total of 217.5. Washington, 4-8-2 against the spread on the road, 0-4 against the spread on no rest. The 76ers, 4-11 against the spread at home, a 1-7 against the spread with a rest advantage. Guys, this feels kind of gross. I'm not really super confident in this, but I'm leaning towards the Wizards getting 10.5. Maybe this is a game where Paul George shows out and Maxey has a big game and they don't miss. They don't end up missing Embiid, but I actually think that, Paul George is listed as out for this game, so he won't even be playing here. So, just a lot of guys missing there for the 76ers. So, give me the Wizards and the points as the smallest of small leans. This game is not going anywhere near the pinned comment. Next on the docket, we're looking at the Toronto Raptors going on the road to take on the New York Knicks. The Raptors come into this game 8-28 on the year as they kind of tank things out, but it's been a weird season. They've had some very nice performances and some real stinkers, and their last time out was definitely a stinker, losing by 24 points against the Milwaukee Bucks. RJ Barrett came back for that game. We thought that would give them a big boost. Apparently not big enough of a boost. He had 25 points, but quickly played terrible. Grady Dick played terrible. 21 points from Scotty Barnes. He had a pretty decent night and was snooping on the huddle there between the Bucks, but none of that was enough, especially when as a team they shot only 25% from three-point range. So gonna have to improve those numbers drastically if they want to have a chance in pretty much any game. You're gonna have to shoot the ball better from three than that, and that hasn't really been something we've seen all the time from the Raptors, but they are healthy coming into this game, and that's a big deal for a team that's been very conservative with their guys. They're obviously trying to tank things out this season, but I think they also want to see what they have with this roster, and you would think with Emmanuel Quickley, Grady Dick, RJ Barrett, Scotty Barnes, and Jakob Poeltl as a starting lineup, you should be in pretty good shit. You should not be a terrible team. I think you should be borderline competing for a playoff spot there in the East, but that has not really been the reality, guys. I mean, Quickley's played well at times, but he's been injured a lot. Grady Dick's been a little bit inconsistent, although he's had some very good stretches in there. RJ Barrett, he's been doing his thing when he's healthy, and so has Scotty Barnes, but he's gotten some tough injuries this season. And Jakob Poeltl, he's been pretty good there at center. So, in general, what we've seen from the Raptors, but we'll see what they can do here going on the road to take on the Knicks, who are on a kind of surprising 3-game losing streak. I mean, losing by 10 against the Thunder in Oklahoma City, no big deal there, but then losing against the Bulls in, not a blowout, but, a very high-scoring game, and then losing against the Magic, the, corpse of the Orlando Magic, that is not a good look, guys. In that loss to Orlando, we did not. I mean, Mikal Bridges did okay. He had 24 points, but other than that, things looked kind of bleak. Brunson had a very inefficient 24 points. Hart had 15 points. They need to be winning these games. They shot 18% from three-point range in that game. What is going on? You guys got to shoot the ball a little bit better. Obviously, Karl-Anthony Towns did not play in that game, so we'll see if he's back for this one. They clearly miss him and his shooting. Miles Bridges being out as well. That's probably 2 out of their, best 4 or 5 shooters being out is not ideal for the, three-point shooting numbers. So we'll see what they can do in this one, see if they get a little bit healthier here. It looks like they should have, everybody they had for the last one, but Karl-Anthony Towns and Miles McBride are both on the injury report. Cat seems like he's questionable for this game, so once again, not a ton of clarity there. Looking at the spread, though, it does appear that they think he will play. And looking at Miles McBride, guys, his hamstring has him questionable for this one as well. Kind of seems like a long shot that he suits up for this one. He hasn't played it back since December 30th, and we haven't gotten any indication that he's definitely going to be ready to go for this one coming off the bench. So, looking at the numbers here, the Knicks 12-point favorites, which makes me think Cat's probably going to play. We've got a total of 231.5. Toronto 8-8 against the spread on the road, but they are 16-10-1 against the spread after a loss. that is a number that is starting to kind of regress to the mean. The Knicks 8-7-1 against spread at home and 6-6 against spread after a loss. To be honest, I don't feel like I can trust either one of these teams at the moment. The Raptors have been super uneven. We do have the kind of revenge angle / returning home angle of RJ Barrett. He seems to usually play really, really well when he goes back to Madison Square Garden. So I think that's going to be a little bit of the deciding factor here, and I'm going to side with the Raptors and the 12 points, but it's feeling a little bit sketchy. I'm not saying it's impossible that this one ends up in the pin comment. I would say it's got a chance. The Knicks are definitely slumping right now, and if we find out there's a chance that Cat doesn't play in this game or that Miles McBride is definitely going to be out, then we'll know the Knicks are going to have very little production coming off the bench. We might actually have to look at taking the Raptors here, getting double-digit points. Next up, we got the Detroit Pistons going on the road to take on the Brooklyn Nets. The Pistons are at 500 now after winning 4 in a row. Wins over the Blazers, Timberwolves, Hornets, and Magic. Those are some decent ones in there for sure, especially for a Pistons team that definitely misses, Jaden Ivey. That was a tough injury there, but we'll see if they can, continue to, roll along here. A 3-point win over Portland isn't anything to write home about necessarily, but we did, like we saw from Cade, he put up 32 points, only had 4 turnovers in the game. Maybe only is a little bit generous, but the dude does battle turnover problems fairly often. Tim Hardaway had a crazy game, guys. 26 points, but 0 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 steals, 0 blocks, 0 turnovers, 1 personal foul. He was only a +9. Malik Beasley in the starting lineup, only 1 of 10 from the field in the game. A -15, scored 5 points, but it wasn't enough to keep his team from getting the win. Saw some okay stuff from the bench. As a team, Detroit shot only 35% from 3-point range. They can definitely do better than that, but they dominated the board. So some pretty good things there from Detroit. We do see Asar Thompson listed as out for this game, so that's not ideal. Dealing with an illness right now, he's not going to be playing in this game against the Nets, so definitely some work to be done for him to get back to, back out there on the court. But his last game wasn't a bad one, so I'm not going to be too rough on the young guy here as as they go on the road to take on the Brooklyn Nets, who are 13-23 on the year. They've lost 5 out of their last 6. All the trade rumors and trading away Schroeder has definitely made this team considerably worse. They just lost by 14 against the Pacers. They didn't have a lot of answers out there for Halliburton or Mathurin, but this is a team that's really, really tanking things out, keeping their best players out of the lineup here. I mean, none of the big hitters were out there for the Nets in this game, and that could end up being the same case here. I mean, D'Angelo Russell on the injury report, Cam Thomas, and Cam Johnson all listed as likely to be out for this game. Confirmed D'Angelo Russell will be out. Cam Thomas has been out since January 2nd, and it seems like there's a chance this hamstring issue keeps him out for this game as well, as they continue to just want to tank things out. And Cam Johnson, guys, he's been missing time as well, so doesn't seem like he's going to be out there either. So a lot of guys banged up there for the Brooklyn Nets. That's one of the reasons they're getting 7.5 points here against the Pistons. We've got a total of 214.5. Detroit 11-7-1 against spread on the road. That's pretty favorable, but only 6-10-1 against spread after a win. These Nets numbers, a lot of them came when they had a full squad and they were letting them try and win games, but they're 6-10 against spread at home and 12-9-1 against spread after a loss. Guys, I'm shading here towards the Pistons to win this game by at least 8. We see a skeleton crew getting ran out there night after night by the Brooklyn Nets, and I think they're pretty actively trying to lose games, so go ahead and give me Detroit here to get the win and cover. I don't know if this is a spot that I necessarily love, but I do think it has some value here, especially with, the Nets really, really leaning into the tank. Next on the docket, guys, we got the Portland Trail Blazers going on the road to take on the New Orleans Pelicans. The Blazers come into this game 12-23 on the season, fresh off of that 3-point loss there at Detroit. Now they had to go from Detroit to New Orleans, so not a brutal travel spot necessarily, going from the cold into the warm. That probably doesn't feel awful. At 12-23 on the year, though, it's not like they're having a great time this season necessarily. In that loss against the Pistons, we saw good stuff there from Anthony Simons. He's, showing a lot of promise there as a potential, leader for this team or a premium trade piece, but probably as a leader for this team, somebody to build around in the future. Other than that, not a lot of guys that I was super impressed with, although we did see Portland eventually, end up shooting 45% from 3-point range. 8 of those made threes came from Anthony Simons, though. So you take him out of the mix, and all of a sudden this team really looks pretty pathetic. We'll see what they can do here. I mean, their injury report isn't looking great. Jeremy Grant listed as out. Denny Adjeva, he could be out for this game. Also, this face injury has Jeremy Grant out for this game for sure. So Portland not going to be at full strength here as they go on the road to take on the Pelicans, who have to be probably a little bit disappointed to take a loss there in Zion's return, but they have to be pumped with how good he looked. He actually looked in shape. I was very impressed. The dude looked in shape. That crazy 360 dunk, that was pretty cool, but in the end, the Timberwolves end up taking the 104-97 loss despite 22 points there from Zion, 29 points from Dejounte Murray. Maybe this team's getting a little bit of a boost here. We'll see. It's going to be very interesting to see whether or not they play Zion here on the second half of a back-to-back. Obviously, they're not having to travel, so that probably helps a little bit, but I would be shocked if they weren't conservative with him. That this also seems like it will put to rest any of those, oh, maybe it's time to trade Zion rumors. I do not think that's even, being remotely considered now for the Pelicans. But you never know. Weirder things have happened. Can't think of any right now, though. Looking at the injury report, which might not be fully updated since they did play, very, very shortly before we made this video, it looks like Zion is not on the injury report, so there's a decent chance we could actually see him playing this game. Trey Murphy being out is kind of a tough spot for this team, but other than that, they should be healthy and ready to go. We'll see if he ends up, if Zion ends up playing here on back-to-back nights, he'll definitely be on a minutes restriction, but maybe not a crazy one. He played 28 minutes. Maybe we see him play like 20 to 25 minutes in this game. Looking at the numbers, the Pelicans are 2.5-point favorites, which is kind of impressive for them. We've got a total of 227.5. Portland, 9-1 against spread on the road. They're 5-3 against spread when they have a rest advantage. New Orleans, 10-9 against spread at home. They are 3-5 against spread on no rest. Guys, I'm shading here slightly towards the Pelicans at -2.5. I'm not loving what I'm seeing from Portland right now. Obviously, their best player, Anthony Simons, is due for something of a downtrending of shooting in this game. So I'm going to ride with the Pelicans here, especially if we see Zion playing. Keep an eye on that injury report, though. Things could certainly change if we find out a couple guys are going to be missing from the lineup. Next on the docket, guys, we have the LA Clippers going on the road to take on the Denver Nuggets. The Clippers come into this game fresh off a 108-106 kind of brutal loss there at Minnesota. They're staying up there in the cold weather now, going to Denver, but it hasn't been smooth sailing for the Clippers. Despite being 20-16 on the year, they've got to be very excited with Kawhi coming back and looking very, very reasonable. 21 minutes, 8 points. He emerges from the game healthy. Didn't shoot the ball particularly well, but there is certainly going to be some rust involved. Norman Powell led the team with 25 points. Harden had a decent night shooting the ball, but other than that, not a ton of positives. They got out rebounded. They only shot 35% from three-point range, so that's not, their ideal number, but we'll see if they're able to, reel things back and play a little bit better in this one. Obviously, they're having to go on the road, so that's a little bit tough, and they come into this game healthy at least, so that's a big positive. And having Kawhi back, as long as he can, keep building up and, end up healthy and ready to go for a playoff run, that's what this team should really be focusing on, is the long-term health here of Kawhi. Although, Kawhi getting pretty old. Time to kind of put up, or, maybe it's time to think about moving on. But we'll see what Kawhi can do here down the stretch. Injuries are injuries. I feel bad for the guy. I hope he can stay healthy. We'll see what the Clippers can do here going on the road to take on the Nuggets, who are actually playing right now, guys, against the Boston Celtics. They're playing in Denver, so they won't have to travel for this game. Jokic actually missing that game against Boston, so we were very, very pumped to be on Boston in this spot. Unfortunately, I didn't put it in the pinned comment. I didn't quite trust it enough, but Jokic sitting out of this game, and it's actually still pretty close. Where they're going into the fourth quarter now with Denver down by 5, but Jokic dealing with an illness. Obviously, that is a very, very big deal. We'll see if he comes back for this game. I don't necessarily think it's a lock. I do think it's slightly likely that he'll be able to come back for this one, but really hard to know. There's been, a flu kind of running through the NBA, so we'll see if he ends up being okay, see if he ends up sitting this one out. He tried to go through pregame warmups, but could not quite make it happen. Maybe he, won't be ready to go for the next game, or if he does play, maybe he won't be at 100%. So a lot of variables in this game right now. We're still looking at the opening spread, and it's the Nuggets +1. So to me, that kind of reads like Jokic won't be playing. I would say that definitely reads like Jokic won't be playing. So we'll see what happens, guys. Other than that, Aaron Gordon probably not expected to play in this game, but we'll see what happens there. Other than that, everybody should be healthy, but like I said, there's a game going on right now, so all of that could change. Keep very updated on this game, and kind of throughout the day, want to be checking back on that pinned comment because things are likely to change throughout the day. And this one, like I said, the current number we have right now is the Nuggets +1. We've got a total of 226.5. The Clippers 10-8 against the spread on the road, 6-3 against the spread with a rest advantage. Denver 7-8-1 against spread at home, and 6-1 against spread on no rest. So Denver's been very impressive on no rest. If Jokic ends up playing in this game, though, that changes things significantly. Although the Clippers do have Zubac to throw at him, so maybe they can at least slow him down a little bit. So I'm going to be leaning towards the Clippers here on the road. They're not a bad road team this season. Currently, they just have to win this game straight up. So I think this is a good spot to be on the Clippers. You might, if you really like this one, want to jump on the Clippers here very, very early and lock in that -1. Otherwise, this is going to change a lot one way or the other. If you like the Clippers, if Jokic plays, maybe you could wait, or if you really think Jokic is going to play, maybe you could wait and you'll get a better number for the Clippers. But right now, I'm going to go under the assumption that Jokic is actually sick, or sick enough that he won't be good tomorrow. So give me the Clippers in this one. Last but not least here, guys, we're looking at the San Antonio Spurs going on the road to take on the Milwaukee Bucks. The Spurs are 18-18 on the season, but they're fresh off of 2 losses in a row. Kind of a significant loss there against the Nuggets, and then losing their last time out 114-110 at the Chicago Bulls. Wembanyama, not an amazing shooting night, 9 of 22 from the field for 23 points. The problem was San Antonio couldn't slow down the Bulls. Like, they couldn't slow down Vucevic, they couldn't slow down Zach LaVine or Kobe White. So yeah, just not a great day defensively. We saw a lot of guys there for the Spurs scoring double figures. Chris Paul even had 18 points, which was absolutely wild to see. Good for him at 1,000 years old and being made of glass to score 18 points. We saw good stuff from Keldon Johnson coming off the bench. Castle coming off the bench played well also. So yeah, they could have just made a few more shots. They would have won this game pretty comfortably. They did have a rebounding edge, so some good things. And yeah, I just think Wembanyama very likely to have a better game this next one. It's crazy that we're talking about the guy not having a great game. He had 23 points, 8 blocks, 4 assists, and 14 rebounds. And I'm like, he didn't play great. So a lot of good things ahead on the horizon there for, Wembanyama and the Spurs. We'll see what they can do here down the stretch. They come into this game. It looks like they're going to be missing Sohan, probably. He's listed as out right now. And yeah, due to back tightness, he's officially scratched for this game. So they won't have him as they go on the road to take on the Bucks, who are fresh off a 128-104 win there at the Toronto Raptors. At 18-16 on the year, I'm not sure if the Bucks are exactly where they wanted to be. Their last time out, Dame actually led the way with 25 points. Giannis, 29 minutes, only 11 points, but he had 13 assists and 12 rebounds. We liked what we saw, generally speaking, from the Bucks. Overall, they ended up resting Middleton after basically saying that he was going to play, so that's a little bit tilting. Milwaukee shot 50% from three-point range. Obviously not something you can count on a nightly basis, so we'll see what they can do in this one, see if they can kind of, shoot the ball a little bit more normally and still come up with a win, maybe get some normal production there from Giannis. They're taking on a closer to real team, but still not the toughest opponent in terms of their injury report. Obviously, we're going to see Giannis on there. We also see Andre Jackson Jr., and we see Chris Middleton. Middleton, guys, he's dealing with that ankle. He is probable for this game, so they're going to be cautious with him coming back from both ankles having surgery, so I think he's very likely to play in this game. Andre Jackson Jr., he's probable as well with back spasms. Seems like those are clearing up, and he should be good to go. And Giannis, as always, listed on the injury report with his knee, but he is probable for this game. So it sounds like it's going to be the full-strength Milwaukee Bucks here. They're playing at home. They're 5.5-point favorites. We've got a total of 222. The Spurs, 9-7 against spread on the road, 11-6 against spread after a loss. Milwaukee, 5-11-1 against spread at home, and 7-10-1 against spread after a win. Guys, this doesn't feel amazing. Feels a little bit gross, but I'm going to be siding here with the San Antonio Spurs getting 5.5 points. Milwaukee isn't really blowing teams out. They don't play enough defense. Having Middleton back definitely is a boost for them, but I don't know how big of a boost it is. The Spurs have been playing well. I think we'll see, a very good level of effort from them. I think we're going to see a breakout game here from Wembanyama as he goes up against Giannis. I would like this, I like this even more because it is a nationally televised game. It's on ESPN, so I think we see Wembanyama come up big in this big moment, and I think we see a one-possession game down the stretch, and 5.5 points, that's good enough for me. That's all the games we have for tonight, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets. Make sure you're subscribing to this channel. It's a new channel, so subscribe to this channel if you are new over here. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. We will see you next time for more sports betting action. We've got NFL playoff videos coming up soon.